controversial debate on the planet.
King Solomon is an intriguing figure.
Mansa Musa.
While the Bible, and many, insist King Solomon was the wealthiest human to ever walk the earth, the world's richest lists give that title to Mansa Musa, the West African emperor, who had possessions of gold which was simply unmatched. So, was the Bible wrong to boldly declare that God has promised Solomon to give him more wealth and riches than any king who lived before him and any king who will live after him? Or are top-ranking sites just using the wrong measurements that kept them guessing wrong for centuries? Stay tuned, and we will find out. We often look at the elite of our time and think, this must be the peak of human wealth. But their fortunes are just a grain of sand in a vast desert compared to the immense riches of the two legendary men. Today, we will settle who should we crown as the richest man to ever walk the earth. King Solomon, the wise ruler of Israel, said to have been so rich that silver lost all value during his reign. And Mansa Musa, the Lion of Mali, a man whose pilgrimage across the desert reshaped the world's economy. Their stories shimmer between history and legend. But one thing is certain, their wealth was beyond comprehension. Born around 1280, Mansa Musa ascended to the throne of the Mali Empire, one of the most powerful and influential kingdoms in West Africa's history. After securing the throne in 1312, he not only possessed a nation, but also inherited a massive gold mine, not just physically but metaphorically speaking. His empire spanned lands now comprising Mali, Senegal, Niger, Guinea, and the Ivory Coast, overflowing with natural resources, primarily gold. But beyond this treasure was Mansa Musa's hold on the global market of gold. As the ruler of the Mali Empire, he personally oversaw every single gold mine within his realm. This made one thing clear: he had absolute control over the global price of gold. His empire's influence on gold trading spanned over centuries. Mansa Musa's most famous journey, the legendary Hajj to Mecca in 1324, wasn't only a spiritual adventure, it showcased his power and generosity like never before in human history. Imagine a crowd of thousands of attendants, each carrying hundreds of pounds of solid gold on their camels. The desert sands seemed to shimmer not only from the heat, but also from the reflection of the treasure he had brought with him. At every stop, Cairo, Medina, Mecca, Mansa Musa gave generously, showering the poor with gold, creating numerous mosques, funding scholars, and investing in education. But with everything he gave, the value of gold collapsed all over the Middle East for over a decade. Modern economists estimate that a single journey spanning from North Africa to Arabia caused $1.5 billion in losses. Just one man, one trip, one wave, changing the game for centuries. Musa's wealth and vision extended far beyond his personal assets. He funded schools, universities, and libraries. He gathered scholars, architects, and poets from across the Islamic world. One of these scholars, Abu Ishaq al-Sahili, was rewarded with 200 grams of gold valued at over $8 million today. For a single architectural masterpiece Abu Ishaq received, Europe took notice. In 1375, European mapmakers placed Mansa Musa on the Catalan Atlas, the most famous medieval map of the world, depicting him seated on a golden throne, holding a golden scepter, wearing a golden crown, and offering a golden nugget to the world. The world saw Mansa Musa as not just a king, but a living symbol of limitless wealth, power, and imagination. He embodied what potential could look like when all the world's gold flowed like rivers. In summary, the legacy of Mansa Musa stands as a testament to his immense wealth, boundless imagination, and lasting impact on the world. King Solomon, the wise and the wealthy. But centuries earlier, another legend ruled, one whose wealth was said to come directly from divine blessing. King Solomon, son of David, ruler of Israel, was celebrated not just for wisdom, but for opulence beyond imagination. He built the first temple of Jerusalem, the holiest structure of his people, and perhaps the most magnificent building of the ancient world. Its walls glowed with gold, its doors shone with bronze, its pillars reached heavenward, a monument to both faith and fortune. During Solomon's 40-year reign, tribute poured in from every nation: gold, silver, ivory, spices, and precious stones. The Bible tells us that each year, Solomon received 25 tons of pure gold every single year. At modern rates, that's about $1.6 billion annually, not counting taxes, trade, or gifts from other rulers. His throne was carved from ivory and covered in gold, surrounded by 12 golden lions, a symbol of his authority. Every goblet, every utensil in his palace was made of pure gold. It's said that in Solomon's kingdom, silver was so abundant it was as worthless as stones. Can you even imagine living in a world where silver, the treasure of empires, was treated like a small pieces of rock? Even the Queen of Sheba, one of the wealthiest monarchs herself, visited Solomon and was left speechless. She said there were no words to describe what her eyes had seen. When the rich are humbled by another's riches, that's not just wealth, that's legend. So, how do you compare wealths of this scale? To compare them honestly, we must step into their worlds. Ask yourself, what did a kilo of gold buy in 1300 CE versus 1000 BCE? Would a single kilogram have fed a family for years? Or funded an army? The answer, it depends. Price is relative to supply, demand, labor, and the size of the economy. In Mansa Musa's 14th century West Africa, gold was abundant in some regions yet scarce globally, giving Musa tactical control. In Solomon's time, in the ancient Near East, trade networks and tribute systems were different. A talent or a chest of silver could represent enormous political leverage, temple building, and long-term state revenue. We must also ask, what counts as wealth? Liquid gold, land and mines, tribute and tax revenues, intellectual capital, scholars and institutions. Solomon's treasure might have been partly royal and partly state, enormous but not wholly personal. Musa's wealth, by contrast, included direct ownership of mines and control over trade routes, making much of it arguably personal or at least directly wieldable by the monarch. The other issue when ranking the wealthiest is that King Solomon's fortunes were chronicled in scriptures that makes it hard to use as a reference, while Mansa's was historical and tangible. But if you measure by the numbers, Solomon's 25 tons of annual gold into modern value, plus his tributes, artifacts, and land, some estimates push his fortune to a mind-blowing $2.1 trillion, making him the richest individual in recorded history. Meanwhile, Musa's more tangible wealth remains estimated at $400 billion today, yet his wealth was physical and visible. So, seeing both sides of the story, who do you believe deserves the crown? The wise king of Israel, whose palace glowed with the light of heaven, or the golden emperor of Africa, whose footsteps left the world glittering in gold? Tell us what you think in the comments. Your opinion might just rewrite history.